In our last video, we got introduced to JavaScript functions, and we saw that we could write a function or whatever JavaScript we wanted to. We did it as a script tag inside of the head tag of our document. And then whenever we wanted to run that particular script in the area on the page where we wanted to run that script or that function in our case, we wrote a script tag and then called the function. And in our prior example, we sent it over a couple of arguments that it then printed out using document write. And so granted this works, but to be more efficient, it would make sense that we move all of our JavaScript onto an external JavaScript page. And so that way all of our web pages could share from a shared file, just like we've done with our CSS. And so let's attempt to do that. I've already created a file called app.js. So all of our JavaScript is going to go on a file with the extension .js. And I'm going to move it over here so we can see it. And the idea was then that I was going to move all of this JavaScript over to this JavaScript page and save that. Recognize that there is absolutely no HTML on this page. So as soon as you put HTML, your page will fail. Maybe we'll do an example of that shortly. Let's just run this and see how it works first. So instead of saying page name equals to index, I'm going to say page name equals app, just so that I can see that I've made a change when I create this page. Let's go ahead and run it, and nothing seems to have happened. I didn't save this. I can tell that because the dot. So now I have an X, so I've saved that page. And my script didn't run, and it said greetings is not defined. So at this point, this page, this HTML page, is completely unaware that there is a JavaScript page someplace that exists, or that there's even a method, or excuse me, a function that's called greetings, which is why we're getting greetings is undefined. So we need to link our JavaScript page to our HTML page. And the way that you do that is we do need an opening and closing script tag, a little different than your style sheet, but I didn't write the language, I'm just sharing it with you. It's kind of quirky. But what I need to do here is inside the script tag, I'm going to write source equals and then put in the name of my file. Could have been in double quotes, could have been single quotes. I think that's just where my finger went. So it should still work. Let's just see everything is saved, and let's rerun it. And now we can see that it actually came over to the JavaScript page, and that it was in fact able to find the greetings function. It found the new variable value and put that in here. So it looks like we're working. I did tell you that you can't put any HTML. Let's just test it. Here is a paragraph. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Spelling is not my strong suit today, ever, at all. Anyway, so now that I've saved this, let's go ahead and run it. And I definitely have something going on here. Remember that in order to get to your errors, you can right click and choose inspect, which is why I got to this screen down here. When I click on console, I can see that I'm getting some JavaScript errors, and it says unexpected token, and it sees this less than sign. In other words, the browser went right to this less than sign. It says that doesn't look like any JavaScript I know what to do with, so it threw an error and nothing else happened. So we need to not have anything else on this JavaScript page except just plain old JavaScript. So now when I run it, I'm back in business here. All right, so in fact, okay. So now let's try to add on some of the things we've been working on already. So instead of doing this then from the script tag, let's comment that out, and I'm going to do it from a button. So I'm going to do it as an on-click event, just to remember how that all works. So I'm going to create a button, and inside of the button, click here. And remember that we have an on-click event. Click equals, and we would put in quotations, and prior to this video we would have put actual JavaScript in here, like maybe an alert box, for example. And so when we ran that, let's just remember how that works. So when I ran the on-click event, when I click on the button, I get an alert box. So that's actually JavaScript. Make the alert box go away. There we go. So that's JavaScript inside the quotes. So just like we would do anything else with JavaScript, instead of typing in the alert, which is obviously a function as well because it's in parentheses. So let's do this. let's type in, or I'm just going to copy it because I'm lazy. Let's type in what was in here. So I'm going to put this JavaScript in there. It is unhappy because I had double quotes, close double quotes, and now I have double quotes inside. So I'm going to make these single quotes so that we're happy again. All right, and so now let's see if that works. So now when I click on the on-click event of the button, I should be running this greeting. So let's see if that in fact happens. Reload, click, and uh-oh, now what happened? Well, let's look at that again. Obviously, it ran the function because my greetings are being displayed, but my button disappeared and also my H1 disappeared. So let's rerun that and see what happens. So here's my H1, there's my button, there's my script ran. When I hit click here, those other items went away, those other objects or elements went away, and all I get left is these two document writes. Well, here's kind of the quirky thing about document write. Document write works fine when you're just rolling along and rendering your page line by line. But once that page is rendered, in other words here, this page is already rendered. As soon as you use, like when we use click here and we use document write, once this page is already rendered, document write will write a brand new page and move on, which is exactly what happened. Everything got deleted. Document write just started from scratch. It started a new window and it did whatever it was told to do. And that can be problematic. That's not really what we want going on here. We didn't want to overwrite things. So let me just kind of reiterate, document write worked fine from here because we were just rolling along, and at the time in order, we wanted that printed out, and then we wanted to print out the greeting, and then we wanted to print the H2. So all that was done at the time this HTML was rendered, which didn't cause a problem. But as soon as we decided to do it after the page was already rendered, in other words, utilize document write, when the person clicked on click here, then document write overwrote everything and started from scratch and started a new page. Well, and in this case, that's not ideal. That's not really what we want to happen. So that's when get element by ID comes in handy and inner HTML. So what we're going to have to do then in order to make our on-click event work correctly, I'm going to comment out these two. And let's do it as a get element by ID instead. So we need to we're going to create a div that we can write our greeting to instead. So underneath the button here, I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to call it ID. I'm going to give an ID of greet div. Okay, so now I have a placeholder for my greeting. So when I click on the button, this placeholder can get filled in with my greeting instead. And so I'm just going to do some copy and pasting here to make this video a little bit quicker. So view, toggle word wrap. All right, so all I've done then is I've created a variable that is going to write my H2, create a string that has my H2, it has the page name, it has the name and the, okay, so we're just creating this H2 string. Now I want to go get this element, this object, the div. So document get element by ID, and that was greet div. So now I have got this object here, and oh sorry, not that one, just this one, this object, and I want to get a particular property, which is the inner HTML, what goes in between the opening and closing div. So the property is .inner HTML equals, and I'm going to set that to the greeting that I just put up above. So now, if this works properly, when I click on the button, the on-click event fires, the browser goes, finds the function associated with the on-click event, which is greetings. We sent it a couple of arguments, and so then we created a string. We should be able to have document get element by ID because the page already rendered. Let's just see if this works. So make sure I save this one also, and let's rerun it. All right, so now when I click on click here, I can see that the div got filled in with the string that we created. So this is looking a little bit more efficient because now I still have all of the other things that I wanted, that I created originally and didn't get overwritten with the document write. So I hope the takeaway that you're getting from here is document write was a great way for us to get started to demonstrate how HTML works. But to get away from that habit of using document write now and getting into the habit of using document get element by IID, excuse me, is going to be a lot more beneficial because there's going to be a lot less room for it. It's going to help us be more dynamic. Not often are we just going to be writing HTML with JavaScript with the document write at the time that the page loads. More likely we're going to be writing it as an event and reactions to our users. So getting comfortable with get element by ID and moving away from document write, I think I've demonstrated why that would be beneficial and more efficient. So in this video then we've seen how we can move our functions from inside a single page. We've moved the function into a separate JavaScript page that we can link to via this script source equals app.js. And so by linking to an external JavaScript page, now these functions are available to more than one web page, and we're starting to get more efficient with our JavaScript programming.